Hi guys, it's Reba. Welcome back. Today marks the start of week 3 of The Artist's Way for me. I vlogged week 1, so if you want to see how my experience was with week 1, you can go ahead and watch that video. I did not vlog week 2, although I just finished it last week, so I will give you a little bit of an overview of how it went for me. I still really love doing the morning pages, and I was able to do them every day last week. I find them a really nice activity, a really nice thing to do first thing in the morning. I kind of want to keep doing it, I think, after this is all done. I really love getting some writing done first thing in the morning and spending some time at the page. In week 2, she includes this list of 10 things to do in order to be an artist. And I put a star next to this first one, which is show up at the page, use the page to rest, to dream, to try. This became a little reminder and motto every time I sat down. I do find that every day I show up slightly differently to the morning pages. Some days I am showing up to rest. I'm showing up to offload some things that have been weighing heavy on my mind, or to just get present or write about the here, the now, the moment. Some days I show up to dream and to plan and to play with my imagination. And some days I find myself showing up to try. Maybe I have an idea for a writing project and I want to play around with it and try out that idea and write through it a little bit in a scrappy, informal way. I also did my artist date. I went yesterday afternoon to a cafe I've never been to before, brought my book with me, got a nice tea, and just read for like an hour and a half. And it was so lovely, so relaxing. It was like a very easy, low stress artist date, and it was great. So week 2 was all about recovering a sense of identity. The tasks were designed in a way to guide you to think about changes you might want to make in your life to make more time or make more space for an artistic practice. But I do think for me, I get the most from just reading the chapter and then thinking about the parts of it that stood out to me as I go about my week. My biggest takeaways from week 2 were: 1, embrace opportunities that are given to you. So if something shows up for you that supports the artist journey you're on, take it and use it. And then the second big takeaway for me was paying attention and finding beauty and delight in every moment. I think that's pretty good wisdom. It speaks to just living mindfully. So I really liked that from last week. But now I'm in week 3, and the theme for this week is recovering a sense of power. The little blurb here says, this week may find you dealing with unaccustomed bursts of energy and sharp peaks of anger, joy, and grief. You are coming into your power as the illusory hold of your previously accepted limits is shaken. You will be asked to consciously experiment with spiritual open-mindedness. All right, we'll see. I'm going to read through the chapter later tonight, and then when I check in with you later this week, I will talk to you about some of the things that resonated with me from this chapter. I'm feeling very creative as of this weekend. I had a spark of inspiration. Whether or not that has to do with me going through the artist's way, I'm not sure, but I thought I would note it here. Yeah, so I will vlog a little bit more this week and check in with you, as I said, probably on Thursday. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you, and I will talk to you soon. again. We are just over halfway through week 3 of The Artist's Way. And again, the theme for the chapter this week was recovering a sense of power. I read through this chapter on Monday night, and to be honest, she lost me a little bit in the beginning of the chapter when talking about divine providence. It got just a little too woo-woo for me, a little too manifestation prayer heavy for me personally. But she brought me back in when she quotes Goethe at the end of this first section. The quote she provides is, "Whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin it. Action has magic, grace, and power in it." This works for me because I don't necessarily believe that you can just merely ask the universe or God and then receive. But I think there's definitely something to action, doing what you can with what you have and putting in effort. I think those things will move you in the right direction. And then I just think once you start paying attention to the things that you want, you can start to see them where they show up and how they show up. They were always there. You're just now paying attention to them. I eventually caught up. I eventually got there. But yeah, it did take me a second to stop rolling my eyes in the first section. After that first section, she moves through discussions on shame and criticism, which I think are both very important topics to cover because of how vulnerable it is to make art. When it comes to criticism, she has some rules here, starting with receive the criticism all the way through and get it over with. Jot down notes to yourself on what concepts or phrases bother you, and then jot down notes on what concepts or phrases seem useful. Do something nurturing for yourself. Remember that even if you have made a truly rotten piece of art, that might be a necessary stepping stone. Then review the criticism again and basically think about whether or not that's just triggering something that has hurt you in the past. Or she recommends writing a letter to the critic, not necessarily to send it. Could be an interesting practice or interesting exercise to do when receiving criticism. And then she says, get back on the horse, make an immediate commitment to do something creative. Do it. Creativity is the only cure for criticism. At the end of the chapter, she reminds you to be gentle with yourself. She says, more than anything else, experiment with solitude. You will need to make a commitment to quiet time. Try to acquire the habit of checking in with yourself several times a day. Just take a beat and ask yourself how you are feeling. Listen to your answer. Respond kindly. If you are doing something very hard, promise yourself a break and a treat afterward. So, a little gentle parenting for that little inner creative child makes sense to me. And I'm always a proponent for a little treat, a little reward after doing something hard. Morning pages. Morning pages are going good. I really enjoy them still. I love the ritual and the discipline of starting out every day with morning pages. I did my artist date. I went out on Tuesday. Went out to the Center for Fiction. I was trying to get a free book because it was June 16th, which is Bloom's Day, James Joyce Day, and the Irish consulate was collaborating with some American bookstores to hand out free Irish literature for the day. But by the time I got over there, they'd finished handing out all the free books, but they were running a 20% off discount on all contemporary Irish lit. So, in the spirit of treating myself, I got a Sally Rooney that I haven't read yet for the discount price. So, that was still lovely. And then I just went across the street and I read my current read there. And it was just lovely. The weather was lovely, nice breeze. It was nice in the shade. Tonight I have dinner. I'm getting dinner with Jaden. And then tomorrow I am prepping for party on Saturday. and I'm going to see Kat in the afternoon. We are doing a paper lamp making workshop, which I am very excited for, and I'm excited to see Kat. And then Saturday party. Yeah, I think that's about it. You'll see a little more vlog footage of all of that this weekend, and then I will film a little reflection of the past week when the week's all over. So I'll see you then. Hello again. Week 3 is now complete, and I still have mixed feelings on the course as a whole, but again, I'm taking what works for me and leaving what doesn't. This week was all about recovering a sense of power. The discussions in the chapter were helping me acknowledge where my confidence may be low, and it was also helpful in seeing all the ways I'm still shy around creating and writing. Previously, I had an interior design career. I worked professionally as a designer for many years and eventually pivoted. Several things led me to pivot away from that career path. Disillusionment, and I also found the future of it felt unsustainable for me personally, for my mental health, and the lifestyle I wanted to lead. Although I pivoted for good reasons, leaving behind a career that once was my dream and something that I worked really hard to obtain, and then burning out in a very big way, I was left with a lot of residual feelings of failure. And I lost a lot of confidence in myself and a sense of identity. And even though the reasons why I left that career path had to do with more uncreative aspects, I noticed that fear of failure and the lack of confidence showing up in this space where I am trying something new and building a new creative life. But as I do the morning pages and try to take the artist's way as serious as I can, I am finding that I'm embodying a little bit different attitude. You might say I'm starting to recover a sense of power. Part of that recovery process is proving to myself that I am capable. And to do that, I've given myself a writing challenge to put into practice some of the advice I've taken away from the last few weeks and chapters of The Artist's Way. The advice from week 1 was to have audacity and be willing to be a bad artist and a beginner. The advice from last week was pay attention to opportunities and embrace them. And for this week, the idea that there is magic in taking action. So, with all that, I saw this past week that an announcement for a short story competition came through my inbox. And I thought, why not use that as a deadline constraint to push me into completing a short story? Most importantly, I want that experience of completing a piece of writing. Up until this point, I've only been working on things that don't have an official finish line. So, for instance, drafting a novel, I'm giving myself as much time as I want to complete that. Or I've worked on little creative writing practices that are more like exercises to help me build stamina and writing muscle, but they haven't required me to polish them into anything finished or complete. And as a perfectionist and a self-learner, I find that deadlines are so essential. And so I think giving myself this constraint will be really helpful. The only expectation I have is to finish the story and submit it by the deadline, which is at the end of August. I have this idea already that I've dabbled in and like kind of played with, but I keep saying I need to write that. I need to like put that into a story. It's very much still a shapeless idea that I can kind of see the end, but I'm not clear on the structure and form and voice. So I'll use that idea and run with it. I'm challenging myself to write the best short story that I can to the best of my current ability. And part of that challenge is accepting that it might be bad because I'm still a beginner, but that's part of it, and I'll just do the best I can. I already took some action on this project last week. I kind of scoped out a rough outline and plot beat, and then played around a little bit with the voice and form. I definitely used some of my morning pages to play with this story, and I would talk to myself a little bit about the structure and the POV and potentially what the story shape could be. As I said earlier this week, I've really been enjoying the morning pages, and I show up to them a little bit differently every day, but they really have become a place for me to rest or to dream or to try. Apart from the morning pages, I did my artist date, which I already talked about earlier this week. So the last thing I want to mention that came out of this week was how creatively energizing this past weekend was. I had that wonderful lamp making workshop that I attended with Kat on Friday, and it was just so nice to make something with my hands and then meet the artist who ran the workshop and learn from her. Saturday, we had that gathering with friends and shared food and talked and connected, and that was just so lovely. I ended up having a really motivating conversation with a couple of those friends about writing that really helped boost my confidence in some ways, and it was really exciting and fun to talk about projects and just writing in general. And then you'll have seen from the vlog footage, we also ended up going to a little house party later. I got to dance, which I actually love dancing, and I haven't done it in a long time, so moving and being in my body that way was also just really lovely and nice and energizing, as I said. So yeah, I ended up being a really great week, and I feel like I am gaining some more confidence and recovering a sense of power in some ways. So I guess it's kind of working a little bit. I do think the Artist's Way is having me do some good reflection, I would say. Now that I've finished week 3, I'm realizing how long 12 weeks is, but I am determined, and I do think that I will be able to finish this and complete all 12 weeks. Again, still loving the morning pages. I think the artist dates have been kind of difficult to make time for. I love an artist date, but I have never done them so structured and so frequently. Doing them on a weekly basis has been difficult. But once I get out there and I'm out and on it, it's it's so great. It's so much fun. Again, the chapters have been helpful in mindset and helping me think through things throughout the week. So I do like to focus each week on different topics and different recovery stages. I find that the tasks and the exercises she recommends are very annoying to fit into the week. I am trying to do them a little here and there, but I don't find them as formative as some of the other parts of the Artist's Way, which we could say their lack of result has to do with my lack of taking them as seriously. But I will say that I did a task last week that was to pay attention to how much time you spend doing certain things and track that time. And I found that I was not writing as much as I wish I did, like writing outside of morning pages. And that kind of feels like the whole point is to make more time for that. And so I would rather spend more time fitting in writing than the exercises and tasks at the end of each chapter. I won't abandon them completely. I will still do my best, but I am imperfectly doing the Artist's Way in that sense. As for the rest of this series, I want to vlog week 6 and week 12, and then of course do a final video retrospective and reflect on the full experience of doing the Artist's Way. But that's it for this week, so thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, leave me a like, and if you are a new or experienced writer, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what tips, practices, or goals you've set for yourself have helped on your writing journey. And then subscribe if you want more Artist's Way writing or reading content. Would love to have you. But as far as this video goes, that's it. I will see you in my next one. Bye.